What's going on, Green Teamers? You're watching Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith. Now, bad news reared its ugly head for your Boston Celtics in Sunday's matchup with the Portland Trailblazers. They lost 114 to 108. Things that were pretty uncharacteristic of your Boston Celtics came up during this game, and we're going to talk about what they were and how to fix them on today's show. Before we do, go down below, hit that thumbs up icon, and prove Heat Report host Nick Roloff wrong. He was talking crazy to me on today's show because, of course, coming off a Celtics loss, he's going to talk his talk. He said we couldn't get 400 likes on today's show. Go down below, prove him wrong, and show him that the Green Teamers know what's up when it comes to Celtics Today. Okay, so what happened with Boston in Sunday's loss? They turned it over a ton. 20 turnovers in this game, and coming into it, the Celtics were the league's best at keeping things clean. 12.4 turnovers per game. That was the best mark in all of basketball. And it's been a big reason why the Celtics have won as many games as they have this season. They've just out-executed their opponents. But against a feisty, athletic, young team in Portland, they couldn't get that job done. Sunday against the Trailblazers, 20 turnovers to 19 assists. You should never be remotely close to having more turnovers than assists in an NBA game, especially not when you expect to win that game. The Celtics came in as 7-point favorites, and they ended up suffering a loss to the Portland Trailblazers. And a key offensive rebound putback once again did the Celtics in this game. But we'll get to that a little bit later on today's show. More about the turnovers for Boston here. Just want to look at it from a different split here. When the Celtics are at or below their turnover average, 12 or less, they're 11-6 this season. When they have 14 or more turnovers, they're 6-4, which you would think, oh, Tyler, why are you showing this as graphic? Like, that's a solid enough record right there. Like, there doesn't seem to be any more rhyme or reason here. Well, when you look a little bit deeper at those 6 wins, it tells you what you need to know. The difference between those 4 losses and the 6 wins that they have when they have more than 14 turnovers is because they're shooting the ball at an unconscious level. And those 6 wins with 14 or more turnovers, the Celtics shot 45%, 35%, which isn't great, but which is maybe an anomaly there, an outlier. 53% from three-point range, 49% from three-point range, 39% from three-point range, and 51% from deep. In all 4 of those losses that they've had 14 turnovers or more, they've shot 35% or worse. So the concerning thing here is that when the Celtics have an off night and they're coughing the ball up at a pretty solid rate, they need to shoot an unconscious level from three-point range in order to still win those games. And when you couple both of those things together, like they did against Portland, you get 20 turnovers, 29% from 3, and a loss. And I get it. West Coast trips are wonky. It gets crazy out there. Portland shot a crazy high percentage from long range last night too. But at the end of the day, this stuff can't happen if the Boston Celtics want to win basketball games. Specifically, it comes from the top. Although Jaylen Brown had an excellent game against Portland, the multiple miscommunications is what we're going to remember from this game between Derek White and Jaylen Brown. I mean, the two combined for 4 turnovers between themselves. The Celtics turned it over 4 times in the last minute and 10 seconds in this game. And they all came from these two and them trying to make decisions with the ball. And there was a backcourt violation. There was a just total miscommunication where the ball was thrown out of bounds. I mean, just so much bad. Derek White held a screen for too long that ended up getting a Brown stripped, and then he fouled them in transition. Like, it was really, really ugly down the stretch of this game. And we'll talk about it in a second, but you're missing Jayson Tatum on a night like this where you just need to calm things down in the closing efforts. And what's really frustrating about this one is that you waste a masterclass performance. Yes, Jaylen Brown did have 6 turnovers in this game, but with the usage that he has in this team, with how much he's dominating the ball, I can live with that when he's putting up 37, and he's the only player shooting it at an efficient clip in this game. Derek White went, 5 or 16, and then Peyton Pritchard did absolutely nothing in this game. Like, those are guys that you have to rely upon as your second and third options at scoring the basketball on this team. And when JB's putting up nights like this, it is just really annoying more than anything to see them squander these types of performances. The 9th straight game that Jaylen Brown has dropped 30 for your Boston Celtics. I think Larry Bird's the only other C that has ever done that, and Jayson Tatum as well in their careers. 37 points, 4 assists, 7 boards, an incredible 14 of 23 from the field, and he was even shooting the 3-ball at a high percentage as well. You cannot lose these games if you're Boston. Shout out to Jaylen Brown as well, though, who won Eastern Conference Player of the Week, a very meaningless award, but this guy has just been balling as of late. 32.7 points per game over the last 3, 6 boards, 3 assists. Like, he is doing his thing, and he's doing this at a very efficient rate. We talked about Jaylen Brown coming into this season as, yeah, he's going to put up a bunch of numbers, but are the efficiency going to be there? Is he going to continue to be an efficient guy with Jayson Tatum not in the lineup and him having to carry all this weight offensively? Well, he has answered the call. The mid-range has been insane this year so far. He's shooting like over 50% on those. He's shooting, honestly, around his league average from three-point range. So you can't even be mad at his long-distance shot efficiencies. So it's been an awesome season for Jaylen Brown, but I don't think enough people are realizing how good it's actually been, because the first returns on fan voting came out for the All-Star game. And look, again, another meaningless thing, but I'm ticked off by it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He's 6th in the Eastern Conference in votes. He's below Donovan Mitchell. This is a problem. Jaylen Brown knows it's a problem too. Look what he said. He said, I agree. PR stunt. It's a PR stunt that he's not getting enough All-Star votes here. And look, I kind of agree, to be honest. He's been the best wing in basketball. Yeah. You could talk about Jokic being better this season. You could talk about Wemby being better this season. You could talk about Luka being better this season. You could talk about SGA being better this season. But all those guys are not wings. Jaylen Brown has been the best wing this season. He's not only been doing it on the offensive end, putting up over 30 points per game, or nearly 30 points per game. He's like 7th or 8th in the league in scoring so far this year. He's also doing it as a two-way player. He's one of the best wing defenders in all of basketball. So hats off to Jaylen Brown. Shout him out in the comments section. Go put some 7s down in the comments. Show your love to JB. And go tweet out. Go keep fan voting him for All-Star votes more and more as the season goes along, because he's going to need it to get in that starting lineup, which we all want to see. Now, to conclude and kind of segue into the next point that we're going to make on today's video, games like this loss to the Blazers, some of these losses to the bad teams that Boston has lost to, they just really show in the importance of Jayson Tatum to this team. Like, yes, the Celtics are 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Yes, they are subverting expectations, but they still are not the best version of themselves. And we saw that against the Portland Trail Blazers. JT, we know he can calm it all down. Is he going to return? We're going to talk about it. We're also going to talk about if this Boston Celtics team is in a spot to win it all. 3rd in the Eastern Conference right now. Things are wide open. Can they go get another Larry? We're going to talk about that in just a moment. First, though, I got to tell you guys about our sponsor. This episode is brought to you guys by Prize Picks. Yes, folks, the holiday season is still here with tons going on. Playoff matchups, basketball, and bowl games, and so much more. And with us making so many decisions this time of year as well, there's one place where being right can get you paid in those decisions, and that's Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game, where all you guys got to do is pick 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. You can win up to 2,000 times your money in one single lineup. And Prize Picks separates themselves because of the features that they offer, like stacks. So if you want to take Jaylen Brown points, Jaylen Brown assists, Jaylen Brown steals, all in the same lineup, you can do so only on Prize Picks. It's also becoming a social event as well, where you can follow other creators, your friends, even myself, and copy our lineups into your own using the brand new feed tab. Prize Picks is the best, and new users, you're getting hooked up. Download the app today and use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. So Dan Greenberg, resident Celtics nerd on Twitter. I mean, I've been following Dan for a long time. If you don't, you should give him a follow. He says the Celtics, at this point, have the second best point differential in the Eastern Conference. They're plus 6.0 on average. But losses to the Jazz, the Nets, the Trailblazers, and the Bucks without Giannis, as well as the Indiana Pacers, didn't even talk about this. Didn't even talk about that Pacers loss. 23-8 they could be. They could be even better. They could be 20. They could be 24-7. They could be at the top of the Eastern Conference right now if they didn't lose to these bums earlier in the season. It's absolutely infuriating, and things need to change if the Celtics want to be in a spot to be a contender, and they're not at this point. The Celtics are also 3-7 against the top 6 teams in offensive rebound rate this season, and that's a little bit of an issue when you consider the problems they've had in the front court. Neemias Queta is playing well, but behind him there isn't a whole heck of a lot at that center spot. And then when you also consider that Jayson Tatum is not in the lineup at this point, your best rebounder on the roster, especially after losing all the front court pieces that you lost in the offseason, you're not going to be a great defensive rebounding team. And that's something that we knew going into this year. The Celtics, luckily, though, have had really good games shooting the basketball, have had really good games taking care of the basketball, and that's why they've won as many as they have so far. Now, to meet the 40-20 rule, this is what we're talking about in terms of, can the C's win the championship this year? Because only 4 times in NBA history have teams not won 40 games before their 20th loss. So to meet that rule, Boston must go 21-7 over their next 28 games. That is a 62-win pace. It's not all too likely, especially if Jayson Tatum is not going to be a part of the roster in those next 28 games. If that's the case, the Celtics are going to have to try to make history and be like one of these 4 teams. The 1995 Houston Rockets, which we'll talk about more in a second because that's the team that I'm going to most liken this Celtics group to. 2004 Pistons didn't do it, 25 losses before their 40th win. The Miami Heat in 2006, that epic D-Wade run, they got 20 losses and then won their 40th game the following night. And then the 2021 Milwaukee Bucks in a shortened season, so a little bit wonky there, coming off COVID, 40-24 they were. But I want to talk about this team that was 40-25 in the Houston Rockets back in 95. Their second of their two back-to-back titles. And the way that the Rockets ended up getting over the hump that season, what did they do? They made a move near the trade deadline. Yeah, and that wasn't just any small marginal role-playing move. No, they added Clyde Drexler in February. So what could the Celtics do to maybe do something a little bit similar to what the Rockets did at that juncture in the season? Well, they could get back Jayson Tatum. And look, I don't have any concrete timelines or anything like that, but I would assume that we are 2-3 months away from Jayson Tatum coming back into this lineup, especially with how much he's been posting about his workouts. He just worked out at Butler over the weekend after the Celtics played the Pacers. He just had an awesome workout, and guess what? Brad Stevens was a part of that workout as well. If you thought Jayson Tatum was working in the Butler gym without Brad, you got another thing coming. Shout out to the Big East. Shout out to, well, Brad didn't even coach there when they were in the Big East, but shout out to the Butler Bulldogs. And I only bring up this Brad Stevens photo, not because, I love the Big East, love college basketball, all that stuff, but do you guys really think that your team's GM would be working out with your star player who's injured all year if the GM didn't think he was going to come back at some point that season? Like, I think Brad would be discouraging a participation with Jayson Tatum's workouts if he didn't think that he was going to come back this year. And then we heard from Chris Haynes last week that he told Chris Haynes, Jayson Tatum did, that he's coming back this season. So could Jayson Tatum be the Clyde Drexler for this Boston Celtics team? Drexler in that Rockets run averaged like 21, 4, and 7. And I don't anticipate JT to be playing big-time minutes down the stretch of the regular season as they get his legs back under him, as he gets integrated into this new Joe Mazzulla rotation. So he could put up those types of numbers and help the C's get over the hump. That is my hope for the rest of this Boston Celtics season. And like I said, if Jayson Tatum comes back, I don't think the Celtics need to hit 40-20. They could be like the Rockets back in 95 if JT comes back. And if a trade is made. I don't think that just bringing back Jayson Tatum would make them a favorite or even a true top contender for the NBA title this year. So they got to go out there and make another move as well. And there's been buzz as we talk about the Celtics being bad at rebounding and their front court deficiencies with just Neemias Queta and not much behind him, even though they've been playing Luka Garza more lately. There's been buzz about a move at center. And a big move specifically, talking about Ivica Zubac or Daniel Gafford or something like that. But I was looking around, the internet, in the interwebs and the buzz that was out there. And Brian Robb of Mass Live talked about a name that we've discussed here on the channel previously as a Celtics potential top target this deadline, and that's Day'Ron Sharpe. He says a cheaper option could have more appeal for Boston that fits into the team's budget better now and in the future. One name that surfaced during the offseason per Michael Scotto of HoopsHype is Nets center Day'Ron Sharpe. He's a terrific rebounder and showed some solid growth in the offensive end this year, although turnovers made a problem. I don't need to have the ball in his hands too much. He says making $6 million for this season and next, he could be a viable backup option behind Queta. Backup option? I mean, Brad Stevens said that they were looking at potentially giving him a chance to go start at the center spot this season. Trade talks ended up falling through with the Brooklyn Nets, but I think that they could absolutely be revisited. Now, what are the Celtics going to do for now? They're going to keep evaluating the play of Queta and Luka Garza and maybe even Josh Minott, who doesn't seem to be in the rotation anymore after he got a DNP from Joe Mazzulla in that Blazer game. And then they're going to deliberate over how big a move to make, because I think the Celtics are going to make a move at some point this season, whether that's offloading salary or really trying to get better with an addition to the front court. How big that move is going to be, I'm not so sure just yet, but I would be very much in on trading for Day'Ron Sharpe. Would you? Let me know in the comments section. Should the Celtics trade for Day'Ron Sharpe? T for trade, P for pass. His per 36 numbers, his per 100 possession numbers are insane. The metrics love Day'Ron Sharpe. If you do too, type T down below. If you don't, type P. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. That will do it for today's show. Give me a follow over on Twitter at Tyler J. Smith, 2 H's because the name's common, but I am not. And make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. YouTube.com/CelticsTV for the latest and greatest on your C's all season long. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, let's go C's.